Hello and welcome to Cavs Daily, presented by FanArt. I'm your host, Paul Williams, and you have found the one stop shop for everything Cavalier related: the good, the bad, the ugly, the boring, the fun, the exciting, whatever it is. You can bet we talk about it here on a day by day basis. Today's episode, going to get into a lot about the Cavs franchise overall, ownership, things of that nature. And with that, yeah, let's get into the first topic, which is where do you kind of see the Cavs as far as franchises or organizations go? Are they lower tier, middle of the pack? Do you see them more in the upper echelon? I know that could kind of ebb and flow depending on a team's recent history, but I think for the Cavs, stretching back now at least 20, 25 years, they've been a pretty stable franchise. Whenever you lose LeBron James twice in that 20, 25-year span, you're, of course, going to go through some ups and downs. But I think the Cavs, well, obviously, they rebuilt, phenomenally this last time, losing LeBron in 2018. I truly think it's the type of rebuild that will be looked back on and studied in the future as far as sports goes in general, not just the NBA. And yeah, the first time LeBron left, we weren't, I guess, back in the playoffs as quickly as we would have liked, but the rebuild didn't really get to be saw all the way through as he obviously returned 4 years later. So outside of those couple year spans after LeBron left each time, it's been a pretty positive and great experience being a Cavs fan, and especially since the letter and that whole debacle back in 2010. I feel like the Cavs haven't been involved in very much drama on the court, off court stuff. It's all been pretty on the up and up, and it's been just mostly about basketball. And there's been a lot of successful basketball played in Cleveland for a long time now. So maybe the Cavs don't have the championships or the long term history of some franchises like the Celtics or Lakers, but this isn't the 80s or 90s anymore. The last 20, 30 years do factor in heavily, and the Cavs are definitely, at least in my eyes, one of the more respected and well-ran franchises in the NBA. There's maybe a handful of teams better, but I would put the Cavs up there with elite company as far as top tier franchises go. I know that may not be the opinion of everyone, but at this moment in time, given where they stand right now and their recent history, I do see the Cavs as a top tier franchise. And a lot of that, the Cavs being a top tier franchise, has to do with the owner, Dan Gilbert. If you're not too familiar with Dan Gilbert, he's been the Cavs owner for 20 years now. He bought the team in 2005 for $375 million from the former owner, the Gunn family. And yes, since he's owned the team, the Cavs have seen a ton of success. Obviously, there is a guy that played for the team for a long time that had a lot to do with that. But still, Dan really has came in and stabilized this franchise and given it the type of consistency from top to bottom that any franchise really needs to thrive. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I feel like there's one big tarnish on his resume, which comes from his response to the decision. And honestly, I don't hate seeing that as a Cavs fan. It just showed his passion for, the team and the city. And if that's the worst thing an owner of your team has ever done, especially being in Cleveland with some of the other ownership we have seen come and go, I think it could be a lot worse. And I think it's gotten to the point now where Dan Gilbert needs to be talked about as a top five owner in the NBA and one of the better owners in all of sports that may not have been a strong statement to stay 5, 10 years ago, but I mean, he's shown that he's willing to stick with front offices through rebuilds and stick with a coach for years and years with JB Bickerstaff. He's he's done everything you could really ask of an owner. He has taken the big step back and kind of let everyone do their job and stayed out of the spotlight. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with his health as well. But I mean, he, for whatever reason, is letting the organization be ran by the people who know how to do the job they're assigned to do. And that really helps and means a lot for an organization. And I think the results speak for themselves. Seems like everyone's happy from top to bottom. The players, the staff, the equipment workers. I mean, even the people that work just within the arena. I have heard tons of good things about Dan Gilbert. So yeah, I'm a personally a huge fan of him. I'm very grateful that the Cavs have him as their owner. It's a bit frustrating that we have this great owner in the sport that has the strictest salary cap, but it is what it is. Dan is also the only owner to bring a championship in the past 50 plus years. So, yeah, I feel like Dan deserves more flowers than he gets for sure. And also, when it comes to Dan Gilbert, I've thought for a while now about is there any chance that Dan Gilbert could, and if he could, would he ever want to or have any interest in owning the Cavs or I'm sorry, the Browns or the Guardians? I think Dan Gilbert being the owner of either of those teams is an automatic huge upgrade for that franchise. The Guardians are obviously super well ran, one of the best front offices in sports. It's been that way for a long, long time now. They're a model franchise, but the one thing holding them back is ownership being willing to invest and spend on the product on the field, and I don't see that being an issue with Gilbert at all, especially if we're churning out consistent winners every year like the Guardians somehow do, despite all their restraints. And in a league where there's no cap, you can literally buy championships. I think that sounds just a perfect fit for someone like Dan Gilbert. And while I know there's been rumblings for a long time that he's holding out hope that he can one day own the Tigers, I don't think the Guardians would be a horrible consolation prize, even though I know they already have some other future ownership structure in place. It would just be a dream come true, I think, for a lot of Cleveland sports fans, and I think it would be the perfect fit for the Guardians franchise and the Browns. I don't even think I need to explain why that could be a big upgrade, but yeah, it would definitely be a big upgrade over what they have now in every sense of the word. Even if the Haslams are willing to spend, there is more to ownership than just spending, and I think Dan has found that formula. So I think he could be a huge help with that as well. And to wrap up today's show, I just also wanted to kind of touch on some other Cavs information, news, tidbits, things of that nature. And I guess one of them can tie right into the Dan Gilbert conversation, as Dan is playing a big part in bringing all type of stuff down to Cleveland. And Cosm is the latest investment that he's bringing downtown. I think they just dropped the news in the past couple of days that it will be the fifth location where it's just this really cool, like, huge arena with a bunch of TV screens, but the main viewing experience is this huge screen where you supposedly get a true, like, in the stadium or in the park feel while watching a sporting event. It's had huge success so far in Dallas and LA. So I'm excited for that to be in downtown Cleveland. It will be right next to the arena as well. So pretty cool option to have as sports fans if you don't want to go to the game, but you don't want to watch it at home, uh, and you don't want to go to a traditional sports bar. This could be a cool option for you. So look out for that. That should be coming in the. I'm from what I've heard so far, it won't be long until it's done, and they're already going to be breaking ground very, very soon on that. Some other stuff, I just have seen some updates as far as Evan Mobley just really going hard in the gym this year. While there were some pictures circulating that had it looking like he was going hard only in the gym with workouts and not with basketball drills, it comes to fruition that those pictures were obviously photoshopped. And while he has put on some weight and a little muscle, it isn't as like eye popping as the rumor was it may be. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of tape and film of Evan Mobley in the lab, in the gym, working on post moves, which I think is very exciting. If he could just add a couple go-to post moves down low, I don't think he'll be stoppable. Honestly, I think he'll be an offensive force almost on the level of his defense. Uh, Elsewhere, there's been a lot of rumblings and different information coming out about Darius Garland and how he's doing as he rehabs and looks to come back from the toe surgery that he got back in June. Most of the stuff that we've seen and that we're hearing are positive. So there hasn't been, or at least any public setbacks or things of that nature. And it looks like he should be on track to join the team pretty early in the season. We will stay tuned to see how that plays out, as well as everything else that has to do with your Cleveland Cavaliers. And if you want to talk about it or hear about it or hear someone else talk about it on a daily basis, come back here, Cavs Daily, every day. I will be here with you doing just that. And until our next time tomorrow, I appreciate your guys' support. Please subscribe, please like, and comment if you feel so inclined. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.